Ezreal has now been reworked. Along with his skins and graphics being updated, he has a new W, which now has the same range as Q and applies a mark to the first champion hit. Upon hitting the target with any other ability, it explodes, dealing bonus magic damage. Riot has always had problems with Ezreal's W skill. Back in Season 2, his W used to apply an attack speed debuff, which as you can imagine was pretty overpowered against other AD carries, especially Vayne. They ended up removing this from his W, however, and it just became a weak, wishy-washy skill, mainly to refresh his passive, and he stopped being such a favourable pick for a while, until his revival with the blue Ezreal build. Here's a rune page I suggest you use. Kleptomancy is great because of Ezreal's Q, and because of his weak early game, the consumables can help a lot. Items wise, you want to get around 1000 gold, go back, get your tier and a few pots. Get Trinity Force and Man Immune, that's a must. Then after that it's pretty situational. I suggest looking at probuilds.net for ideas. You can go more, i.e. plenty of items you can go. Ezreal has always been a great champion for a poke team comp, due to his Q and ultimate. As you might imagine, during the laning phase you'll want to be poking the enemy down as much as possible, and either zoning them out of CS or going for a kill. Ezreal's early game isn't the best due to a few reasons, mostly because you're going to be building tier first item, and your enemies will be building damage, and your keystone will be Kleptomancy, while your enemies will have damage keystones instead. And you're going to be weak, unless you're against another weak matchup, you'll just want to chill and farm until you have Phage and Sheen before you are attempting to get some kills. The main issue though will be hitting your Q, and usually minions are in the way of that, but there are a few tactics I can help you with to help avoid this. One is by positioning yourself to the side of the minion wave and trying to find a clean shot there. However, if you're playing against someone good, they will match your movements and try and keep the minions in between you and them, so you can play a little dancing game going back and forth to each side of the minions, trying to hit them with it. Another way is to simply just push the wave up and make the CS under the tower while you try and poke them down, since there should be no enemy minions there to block you. This should be easier to do once you've bought tier, since you'll have more mana to spam Q with to get the wave down, though this is a pretty risky strategy as pushing up always leaves you more vulnerable to a gank. With Ezreal's W now giving a damage boost, it's obvious you want to hit that first before using your Q, but this isn't always the best choice. Usually the enemy is monitoring your distance and whether you're able to hit them or not. Often you'll have to only have a split second to shoot before using your W first, and it can mean your Q will miss if you just shoot WQ first all the time. And if they're at the outer range of your range, you'll want to just use your Q first to ensure you at least get a hit on them. And if they're a bit closer to you, I suggest you use W then. With regards to his E, an interesting tactic to use if you're feeling confident is to hit your W and then E into proc it and then get you a bit closer and then land your Q. This works pretty well if your enemy support has already missed their CC and if you aren't in danger of getting stunned as soon as you jump in. With this combo you can destroy at least half their health bar, and it works especially well against a weaker lane that's farming or opponents that are falling back due to a minion wave or a jungle gank. Ezreal's ultimate has already been super strong, but I feel it's even stronger now with the W change. It's pretty easy to hit if they have no dash ability, and if you're able to get a clean ultimate off on the enemy, most of the time you should take it. Some people like to try and save his ultimate for picking off low people, but I completely disagree. You should try and hit as many of the enemy team as possible with it, but especially their mid or AD carry or any squishy champion they have. If one of your teammates gets a stun off like Leona or Warwick ultimates, you should instantly W and then cast your ult and go for a Q, as this is the best instant damage burst combo that you can do with Ez. Team fighting on Ezreal is a little bit different to most other AD carries. I often see people running back and forth only using their abilities, despite the fact Ezreal's passive gives him great attack speed. What you need to do is constantly spam your rotation of abilities in the fight, trying to hit the squishies, but also auto-attack the closest target at the same time all the time and kite backwards, constantly attacking, moving back if they get closer. Ez may be a caster, but he's still an AD carry at the end of the day. He's probably one of the best bottom laners to kill mid champions with, in my opinion, as they rarely build armour and you can often outrange them with your Q, depending on the champion obviously. Fighting a mid laner is one of the situations where you don't want to auto-attack unless necessary, because getting close means you can get stunned and killed. Especially if you have red buff, you can maintain distance while using E and using Q to kite them down. This works great against slower moving mid laners like Brand or Victor that don't have any movement abilities. As a rule of thumb, you should be attacking whoever is closest to you in the team fight. However, it depends on who you're against. Versus a full tank, you might want to consider ignoring them and focusing on a more squishy target, especially if you have lifesteal and can use E or flash to avoid their CC abilities. Usually the best target to kill is the one that will die the fastest, so you have to take into consideration danger level, squishiness, who your allies are attacking, and the proximity to you in order to decide who you're going to attack. Despite Ezreal having all that mobility, you're pretty much just as vulnerable to assassins as any other AD carry. If the enemy has a Talon, Zed, LeBlanc or Jax or anything like that, you better think ahead and be prepared, because it takes just one mistake for you to get bursted down and your team is probably going to lose the fight. You need to play like a bit of a scaredy cat, and if they're running towards you, just run the fuck away. Maximising your damage throughout the fight is the job of an AD carry, but you can't do any damage if you get too cocky trying to poke them from in the front line and suddenly there's a Zed on you, and well, we've all been there before and we know the score. From my experience, bruisers and tanks can sometimes be a bit of a problem for Ez. You can mitigate this by getting Blade of the Rune King, which is especially good against bruisers as it gives you a slow to help kite them. If you have a tank problem, you can build Lord Dominic's with regards on top of Blade. Ideally, however, you'll just want to ignore Blade and get Bloodthirster with Dominic's, if at all possible. Thanks for watching. Hit like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you want to see more.